Hello students, today we're going to go ahead and do the synthesis of aspirin lab. The very first thing that we need to do is make sure that we have all the materials as stated and that we know what each material is going to be used for. The first material in our list is the acetic anhydride. We should remember from our pre-lab that this is a lacrimator, which means that it will make you cry. So, lacrimators are going to go into the fume hood. The next is that we have our crushed aspirin that can stay at our table. This is going to be what we use for our reference point for our melting point. Then we're going to have our ethyl alcohol that can stay at the table as well. Make sure that that is far away from any heat sources. Our iron 3 chloride, we can go ahead and keep that at our table. We have our base, which we are going to make our acetyl salicylic acid from, which is going to be our salicylic acid. We have sulfuric acid. This is 18 molar sulfuric acid. This has toxic fumes that if you breathe in, you will have a bad time. That will also go into the fume hood. We have to have distilled water, which we have right here. We have a balance, which we are going to use to measure our amount of salicylic acid that we start with. We are going to have 2 beakers of 250 milliliters. One is already here and warming up. The other is here for our ice bath. We are going to have boiling stones. The whole reason that we have boiling stones is just to make it so that we do not have a big bubbles for rolling boils. We have capillary tubes that we're going to use for testing. And we have 2 Erlenmeyer flasks. One small flask and then one larger flask that we are going to be using. Today we're going to go ahead and use a filter, and we're going to use vacuum filtration instead of funnel filtration today. We are going to have 2 pipettes that we are going to use. This glass pipette is used for giving only drops of acid. It is used for when you have to use really strong concentrated acid. Since we are working with 18 molar sulfuric acid, we are going to be using this for that. And then we have a barrel type graduated pipette where each line on it tells us how many milliliters we are using. This is useful if we have to add 2 milliliters. This is what we are going to use to add our acetic anhydride. Once there, we're going to go ahead and use this, our ring stand with a support. This is so that we can go ahead and gently place in our Erlenmeyer flask so that we can heat up our mixture. And then finally we have a test tube rack, thermometers, and stirring rods to help us finish out with the testing. Okay, so for our first set of instructions, what we need to do is we need to go ahead and set up our hot plate and our heating device. Our hot plate and heating device is going to be set up right here. We are taking a 250 milliliter beaker and we are heating it till it is just about 80 degrees. So that's why I have this thermometer in here, and we're heating it slowly until it reaches 80 degrees. Then we're going to go ahead and take our 50 milliliter Erlenmeyer flask. We're going to take it to our scale. And we're going to go ahead and place it on there. And we're going to tare it. It will go ahead and give it the amount. We'll tare it one more time. It will equalize, and now we're going to go ahead and add in our salicylic acid. For this experiment, it wants us to use 0.5 grams of salicylic acid. We're going to close it, and then we're going to look at our scale right here to see how close we got to 0.5 grams. Here you see that we are at 0.5013. We're going to go ahead and take it out now, and we're going to move over to our station where we're going to apply the acetic anhydride as well as the sulfuric acid. What we're going to do first is we're going to go ahead and make sure that we have the fume hood on. Remember, acetic anhydride is a lacrimator, which means that it will make you cry. If you cry, you will have issues looking and seeing what you're doing. We are going to take 1 milliliter, which means that we're going to go to the first line. We will close it up. And now we are going to go ahead and add in our drops of sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid, we are going to go ahead and use the glass one with the bowl. Make sure that you can squeeze the bowl easily. We only need 2 drops. We are now going to go ahead and take our mixture. We're going to place it into this right here. We're going to go ahead and let this wait and heat up to 80 degrees. It's almost there. It's at 70 right now. go ahead and pause it. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take our container and release it. And we're going to add water to it. Notice that we have nothing going on right here. Very clear solution, right? We're going to add it dropwise. And as we do the drops, what you guys should see, or what's happening is that we make a little bit of solid material that quickly dissolves. Okay, so we ended up making some solid material that dissolved. The next step is that it wants us to go ahead and add in an entire 5 milliliters all at once. And when I add the 5 milliliters all at once, hopefully you guys will be able to see the reaction a little bit more clearly. Okay. And you guys should see that there's something now in there. It looks funny, right? Not as clear. And now what we're going to do is we're going to let it cool. Okay. And when this cools, hopefully what we'll get to see is we should be able to see hopefully some crystals begin to pour out, because this is still really hot. Still at about 80 degrees. And so hopefully as this cools, we'll get some nice crystals coming out. And if they do, that means that we have successfully made aspirin.
What?
Aspirin? Yes, we're making aspirin. All right, and we can stop recording now. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set up our vacuum filtration. Vacuum filtration involves this container right here. Okay, this is going to go ahead and hold onto our top right here. We have a filter on top. Our filter on top is going to be a single piece of filter paper. We put the filter paper in, and we're going to wet it lightly. Just with some distilled water. We're going to turn on the water. And what happens is that this creates a seal. Okay, we get a seal on it, and we're going to be able to pull out of our materials a lot better. At this point, we're going to go ahead and take our crystals out. Okay, these are our crystals. It's going to be slightly hard for us to get it out because we do have such a high yield on this one. And we're going to put our crystals there. Okay. Now, we could theoretically leave it like this. However, like, look at how much stuff this is. Okay, like this is a lot. We're going to go ahead and wash it. So we're going to keep our stir rod in here. And we're going to try and get every last little bit of it out of here. And then this leftover that is still in here, that unfortunately is going to have to go for our waste. Okay? Now as you notice, what will happen is that we're going to continue to have, go ahead and come up here on top. We're going to continue to have the water get pulled out of here, so right on top, until we have nice dry crystals. The product that we have here should be aspirin, and we will be able to test it shortly.